It's phenomenal long term, short term.
It's a good time to go through all those old pictures that you have people you don't know their names on them. Yep.
Yep.
This is the packet today.
Please stand for the pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Cecily, roll call, please.
Counselor Gorley,
Here.
Counselor Richards.
Here.
Counselor Sanchez. Counselor Thorstad.
Here.
Counselor Trask.
Yes.
President Pro Tem Mueller. Mayor Coleman.
Present. Let the record show that we have 6 present and 1 absent. Now let's open up this work session to discuss, city manager recruitment.
Well, hello, everyone. Thanks for being here tonight as we talk about city manager recruitment. Cecily has given some handouts, so she's going to be covering some of those details. And I just want to say I really appreciate everyone showing up here tonight and working collaboratively together on the process. So wherever council would like to start on this, I will leave that for you guys now.
So counselors, Cecily is going to review some of the information that she's gathered, but first I thought we should start with qualifications or character qualities that we are looking for in a city manager, our next city manager. So I'd love to hear from counselors, your thoughts on that. What kind of individual are we looking for?
Madam Mayor,
Yeah.
I would prefer this time possibly for someone from Sweet Home. I feel like we need to be stronger on.
Okay, that's a good start. Somebody from Sweet Home is what Counselor Richards said. Anybody else?
I think somebody with some diplomacy skills, because we're working with a wide variety of people and they need to be able to understand rural Oregonians. I think that's important.
Madam Mayor, I just think that it would be nice if we had some comparisons to others. I'm not knocking these two or anybody here, but I think that we should get somebody that's got more information or has been there before. That's my opinion.
So you're looking for somebody, if I can summarize that well, when we're talking about character qualities or characteristics, somebody that's been a city manager before?
Somebody that's been on as a counselor, as a city manager before. We don't have somebody that did. I know we did that with Kelsey, but she was newer action, and I don't know. I just think it would be better if we put it out there so we can find somebody that has been a city manager and has the authorities and all that stuff, not authorities, but the past time that they were there, whether who it is or not,
So you're hoping to find somebody who was previously a city manager?
if we can.
Okay, I just would like to let the council know that I've heard from those that have been in leadership in Sweet Home before that the last 5 city managers were not city managers before they became our city managers. So it's been a really long time since we've had anybody who previously was a city manager. So just as a,
That's true, because and it's the council at that time made those decisions. I think though what's really cumbersome is I'm really worried that when we've had those last 5, we've had consistency with our city attorney and we've had consistency with staff and a smaller rollover council. We are very fortunate to have 3, maybe 4 rollover, but that's a lot of change for a city. And so I find that really concerning that having somebody with a little bit of knowledge, but at the same time, I do like an energy. I do like somebody who is able to look at things, but I don't want them to be naive about the demands and the rigors of the job and the possibilities. So I think we're gonna have to weigh each candidate on their own merit, but at the same time, I think there's some expediency because I'm really worried about doing that to somebody. We have new counselors and we want to set them up for the best success possible. And for them to, they haven't worked with city managers before in this capacity. And I think that we need to be expedient about this.
Okay, so that's not a character quality, but expediency is important, so that's good to know. I think it's just important for us to get a idea of what type of individual we're looking for before we start to actually look for an individual. So that's why I'm trying to tease out of you guys some sort of understanding of the type of person that we would like to see managing the city. So any other thoughts? Yeah.
I'm on now.
Yeah.
I would like to find somebody that isn't more stern, more positive, someone that's not going to give into bullying, and somebody that wants to stick around Sweet Home longer than 2 years. That's what I would like to see.
Good. Counselor Sanchez, do you have any thoughts on this?
Sorry, I came in late. So what was the,
Oh, we're just discussing character qualities of our next city manager. What are we looking for when we're thinking about a city manager? What type of leader?
somebody that works well under pressure? We have a lot of pressures in the community from a lot of sort of different directions. And to manage all of those at the same time takes a really special person.
Good. Okay, so somebody who works well under pressure. So what I hear people saying is would like somebody who's familiar with Sweet Home, potentially a previous city manager, somebody who works well under pressure, somebody who is strong and won't give in to bullying. Did I miss anything?
Diplomacy.
Diplomacy. I did miss your word.
There's
Yeah,
a skill set there.
it is a skill set. Yeah.
Great vision.
Vision. Okay.
So is this more than character qualities or is there a wish list?
Sure. Go for it. We're just discussing where it's a work session. Let's get our ideas out.
Well, it would be nice if there was somebody who had experience being a city manager. I do hear that you are saying that we have never had anybody hired. And maybe that might be some of the issues we've been suffering with. However, somebody who has a vast knowledge of our community is also helpful.
I think that's a great goal. I just want to make sure we're all understanding. We all have the same information going forward. So, Cecily, would you just go ahead and dig into what you found out when you reached out to organizations?
Sure. So I reached out to 4 different organizations just to get an initial idea of potential recruitment costs, if that's the direction the council wanted to move. So in the past, we've used the COG to do our recruitments. This time around, the COG indicated to me that they did not know if they would have capacity to assist us this year. So they said they would get back with me, but as of last Thursday, I have not heard back from them. So I will keep you updated on that. 2 of the 3 remaining firms responded. I reached out to Baker Tilly. They have not provided a response. Of the 2 that responded, Bob Murray and Associates quoted us at $33,000 for the full recruitment plus additional add-ons. Rothman responded with $18,500 plus additional expenses that would likely be required. I would also just like to note that when Prothman responded, they did note that they had seen us in the news and quote, "This position is going to be hard to fill." So we just need to be mindful of that.
In your estimation, and just a guess, did we not hear from others because of being in the news?
It's hard to say. Obviously, private firms want to get work wherever they can, but it's certainly a potential factor, and it may also be a potential factor in the quotes we received.
So counselors, there's 2 quotes before you regarding recruitment process. We have options available to us, and maybe Cecily, you can review all options, which some of them are proposals from outside organizations, but according to our charter, we have other avenues we could choose.
So my interpretation of the charter, you do have some flexibility. So obviously we can go out with a fully private firm, which are the 2 most expensive ones. If the COG does come back with a response, you have the option to go through them. I believe the previous recruitment was about $5,000. We also always have the option to do a fully internal process, and that'll just be the cost of obviously staff time, materials, mailings, background checks, that sort of thing. I don't have a quote on that, but that would be the lowest cost. Or if there's someone that council felt adequately confident about, you could make an outright appointment. But that has its own kind of process that would need to happen in terms of how you would want to make that selection and what that process would look like in terms of executive sessions. So we'd have to tease that out a little more if you wanted to investigate that.
So counselors, any thoughts on the proposals that are before you or the processes that were just outlined by Cecily?
Madam Mayor, I have a question. Where did we come up with these firms? What did we do to find them?
So I looked at a listing of a lot of the most common recruitment firms. I tried to look for ones that have experience on the West Coast or Oregon specifically. Baker Tilly is really the highest profile one that I reached out to. I can tell you Bob Marine Associates does a lot of West Coast recruiting. They're actually the ones that recruited Kelsey to California. And again, I knew Prothman was kind of a middle of the road, but experienced firm. So I'm more than happy to reach out to more firms. This was just kind of a first initial get. So we had some costs in mind.
Because I did call Christy Worster, and she had mentioned that she knew of some people. Were these any of her suggestions?
I was not provided that list.
Oh, were you able to talk to her about that?
I did not talk to her about that.
Okay, so I think there could possibly be some additional.
If you want to send those to me,
I don't have them.
Oh, okay.
She just mentioned that there's some more avenues.
Okay.
To research if the COG wasn't available or was available for a greater pool of candidates, but I do not know who they are.
Okay.
So
I can get those.
yeah, that
Thank you.
might be helpful.
Counselor Sanchez, did she indicate that she would be interested in helping us through this process?
I no, but she is fully available to help the chief with whatever he needs, whenever he needs it, as far as I'm aware.
Good try, Counselor Corley.
Madam Mayor, I would like for us to keep the pool open and have our city try to do some advertising and recruitment in the meantime. And I would like to note that I want the ball rolling on this, but I came in onto the council with a hiring of a city manager prior to me being on. And I'm only one person, but we have potentially 4 new councilors coming. And I would like, that's the majority, to maybe have them have the say in the hiring process. But that's just my opinion.
I think it might be something that is worth noting, that we may end up with that many. We may end up with 3. We may end up with 4. But
That's
the
why I
fact
said potentially.
yeah. But the fact that we have, they would need to be working with a city council or a city manager. Maybe it's something that this council starts and that council finishes, but it is something that we should probably keep in mind. So.
That is my hope also, is that it is something that we start, but the incoming council finishes, because they are the council that will have to work well with the city manager. And I do not think that it's fair to the council or the city manager to get to know us very well and then be caught off guard with people that they took a job for that they have no relationship with.
Okay, with that in mind, and Counselor Thorstad, you mentioned us advertising. So is that, were you referring to like in-house, like we start that process?
Yes.
Oh, Madam Mayor, I also agree with that. I didn't realize you were talking about in-house, but I think that's a really good idea too.
So in-house recruitment, if that's the route we will be taking, we would need to discuss what that looks like.
So you're thinking about not hiring a professional to do this? Is that what
That's what I
understand?
just heard Counselor Thorstad say and Counselor.
At this time, if more places pop up, I'm just not okay with spending $30,000 to recruit a city manager.
So,
Look,
so my question is though, isn't that a conflict of interest for anybody that's in-house that might be interested in the position and puts them at a severe disadvantage?
can I reiterate? What I was stating was I'm not opposed to hiring a professional firm to help us with the process, to get the process rolling. But what I am opposed to is the selection of a city manager from this council when there's going to be a new council.
Yeah.
So it wasn't anything about not hiring a professional. I think we need all the professional help we could get.
With my knowledge of the different city halls and over the past years of dealing with a lot of different cities, I'm familiar with all three that Cicely's talked about. The one that stands out as far as that I've seen that they've had a foothold in just about every city hall I've ever been in, even in fire departments, to believe it or not, is Prothman. They are very popular and put your sticking your hiring packet in just about every orifice that they can get their hands on. They're not really aggressive, in my opinion, of going out and really trying to bring that candidate to you as much as advertising the candidate. So my experience with Prothman is they're a really good advertising outlet, more so than they are as a recruiting. The other two are very good and they're well known. That's my take on the three that Cicely's talked about.
Okay, so I hear a few counselors saying they want to go out with a professional and a couple saying they'd like to do in-house. So I think we need to first discuss that. We need a consensus on that.
Madam Mayor, if I may, before we go too much farther, I think we should have went out a long time ago possibly, but we have a history here in this council. We had two city managers that were there for 2 years and they were ran off. And so that might be a hearing for somebody that's wants to come to this place. It was pretty ugly both times, my opinion.
It's true that the city of Sweet Home is in a delicate position at this moment. We already heard from Cecily that one of them that have submitted the proposal said that this position is going to be very challenging to fill, and others that did not respond to Cecily reaching out. It's not going to be an easy search. We already know that. So we've got to decide as a council what we're going to do to move forward and how are we going to get this managed. This is a council decision. And we have to figure out how to work together on getting this decided. There are multiple options available to us and yeah, we need to work through it. So. And this is a work session. So this is just talk about it. We're not making any decisions. There's no motion being made tonight in this work session. So Counselor Thorstad.
So with that being said, of us having drama. And it's not going to just be Oregon. It's going to be all over the place. So with that being said, of having us do this initial start internally, and then when the new council, potentially new council, half of us can be in, then I think that might be able to be more comforting to somebody coming to town. Or I mean, I don't know why we don't put the job up. And if there's anybody internally that's interested, I would like to hear from them too. So that's just my 2 cents.
I just want to say one quick comment. I think Jason's doing a great job. And are we allowed to say, like, if we could pick someone internally of who it would be?
You could say, yeah. You
Oh,
can say whatever you
I'd
want to.
love to
Yeah.
keep him as city manager.
Well, I think Josh is dead on. I think you have to open it up internally to see how many internal candidates within the city that may be interested that haven't came forth. You have to give them the opportunity. There may be somebody in the city hall that says, hey, I want to be the city manager. Okay, so you have to, in fairness, have to be them. Furthermore, our chief has done a phenomenal job as the chief of police. We haven't heard from him if he's of interest. If you put it internally open, he may submit his application, say, I want the job. In the meantime, you'll down the road here, you'll have to figure out, because the chief cannot stay in this temporary position for a long term. So there's going to be a point where he's got to step away for a brief time. Somebody else internally has to take it for a brief time, and then he can come back as a temporary city manager again. That's what happened with Christie. And I know that's something you have to do. Now, he may want the job, but I'm just saying that's the process. And if he is interested in it, he should put his application in, and we know for sure that's what he wants to do, hearing from the chief. So, but start internally, and then if we don't get a whole lot of applicants, then choose between Prothman and any other of the organizations. This is going to take time. This is not an overnight. This will go into a new council. So even if you say, I want to give Prothman a run, or whoever, they're going to get it started. But again, they're not going to get this thing done before the first of the year. This is not an overnight process. This is going to take a few months, and it will go into the next year. Plus, we don't have all the council meetings every month. We got the holidays coming up. Again, this process is going to go into with a new council. So I think we start internally, and then from there, see what we get. And it's up to the council if they want to keep it internally for a hire, or keep the ones you get from internally within the, open it up and see what else you get from the outside and create a pool. Do the process we did. You interview and you go through and find out who's the best candidate is. You may end up coming back and say the chief is the best candidate if he so chooses to be city manager. So you do have to go through a process, and you got to keep in mind the process of where we're at right now too.
I know that we're really comfortable with where we're at right now, but I'm also very worried. We have a lot. I don't know if people realize how many people have come from Sweet Home and gone out into the world and become city managers. There's a handful of them. They're actually, it's kind of interesting when you really look at it. But are we doing an internal hire a favor, or leaving them at a disadvantage with the public and the long term with this job if we don't do our due diligence and seek out to find out who the best hire is? We need to know. Are there people who are highly qualified that come with good, strong recommendations and strong work history interested in this position? And then when we look at it and say, these are the qualities we want, and hire that person, we know that for sure we have hired the best. And we can stand behind that and not say, oh, you didn't look too far. I think we owe it to our citizenry to put this out there for everybody to look out and do as far and wide as we can and look and see what kind of interest is out there and put everybody's hat in the ring and look at it. There are huge advantages to two people I'm looking at right now, 2 people, and they would both make great city managers. But to be fair, we need to cast out there and look and see what we can reap in. And then that way, everybody can stand behind that decision and the community can stand behind that decision. And we know that we've done what is best. And if it costs us $18,000, which I choke because I know what you can buy with $18,000 for our community, then so be it, because we need to do due diligence on this.
So I would like to also pursue Christy Worcester's recommendations and bring those back as well. And however it looks to start throwing the net out, like Counselor Gorley said, let's just get started.
Madam Mayor, Christie's really good at this. But is she sure that any of those people would want this job? And she would probably know. And so, because she is sharp about it. So I'd like to, if she gives us numbers or people, they're probably on the list that they want to try to do it.
If I may, it wasn't candidates, it was just firms to help recruit candidates. So
I misheard
Yeah,
that, but
thank
that's,
you.
yeah, but she's good.
So what I think I hear from counselors, and we'll need to obviously come to a consensus, but we have some that are saying we need to open it up internally for now and then seek out further proposals from other recruitment firms, Christy Worcester's suggestions, and verify that we've got them in the meantime. And so if that sounds like a plan from council, we then need to discuss what it would look like if we put the city manager position, post it internally, because we need to have a job description.
I will just say I do not intend to apply, so I'm happy to work with council on that internal posting.
So is that what I understood from counselors? And does that sound like a plan that we can have consensus on?
Yeah, that sounds fine.
Counselor Sanchez?
yes.
I will say yes.
Okay.
Winner.
Okay. So it looks like we have a consensus on the beginning of a process, but we will need a job description created that would need to be posted. And then we need to come back to another meeting to discuss any other further proposals that we may receive. And then go from there. I
Yes,
guess.
so I will probably reach out to city council later this week just to get another work session scheduled as soon as possible. And I will reach out to Christy Worcester to get those additional firms. And if there are any other firms anyone wants me to contact. Okay, I'll confirm. Yeah, but I can pursue both at the same time.
Okay. Is there anything else that needs to be discussed regarding this process? Okay, then I'm going to close this work session at 5:59.